Welcome to the Safe Life family. We're the safety guys. I'm Landon.
And I'm Kevin.
And we're excited you're joining us on the journey from Safety 101 to safety experts. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Safe Life family. We're thrilled to be here today.
Sure glad you guys are here too.
We're gonna drop some wisdom. It's gonna be a good episode.
Hope so.
It's about driving.
Oh, teenage driving?
No, it's you're driving me crazy. No, just kidding.
Yeah. There's been a few years I probably did that a lot.
I'm sure I made it worse on you, but to start our episode, I'd like to share a little bit about how my father taught me how to drive a vehicle. And
Torture?
No, not torture at all. Well, actually, at the time it was somewhat challenging, but if you remember, we were driving to Grandma and Grandpa's house, and you told me about a certain driving exam that certain officers have to complete. And in that exam, you have to be talking out loud. And correct me if I'm wrong, probably off base. It was a long time ago.
No, you're right on.
You have to be talking the entire time. And how long was the test?
You had to do it for half an hour to pass, and that doesn't seem so long, but what they made you do, it was incredible hard.
And so then guess who may have almost passed the police driving exam? Well, I guess that was me. No, I failed miserably, but I remember driving home from Grandpa's, and he told me, hey, this is what I'd like you to do. And the way that test works is you have to basically be talking without a stop. How long could you pause without failing?
Enough to breathe.
Enough to breathe. Oh,
yeah.
So
take a breath of air, and that was it.
About 1 second. And you have to be talking about everything that you see as you're driving. And sure, at first glance, that might not seem like a very hard challenge, but if you're driving anywhere today, try that. Only pause long enough to breathe. And you'll find that sometimes it's easy to say, oh, the car in front of me is braking, and I see two cars ahead of them are starting, and the light is up ahead of us, and the light just turned to green. And there's a car to the left of me. Anyway, you kind of get where we're going for on that, but that had an impact on me, and it really, from the start of me learning how to drive, made me make sure that I was aware and attentive while driving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had a drill sergeant that was so mean doing that. And there is so much going on when you drive, and how that all came about before we went out and was taught some driving skills, not just to drive fast and try to catch the bad guys and the pit maneuvers and all those things, but it was just to realize that when you go out to drive and you hear drive defensively, the guy started right off and said, well, if you're playing, the Super Bowl game, you're not just on your iPhone. You're not just looking at one player. You're on the defense. You are looking at everything.
Yeah.
And you would think that you couldn't carry on this conversation very long, but you have people behind you. You have people beside of you. You have the signs, the speed, the yield. You have, 2 blocks up, you can see a green car, ready to turn in front of you. It just is so powerful. It's so hard though for teenagers, but it really sets a wonderful foundation for them understanding really how much is going on. And then another thing with teenagers, and a lot of you guys at first was, well, what street am I on? I mean, you're raised in a city, which way is north, east, south, west? And we'll try to tell that to you, go over there on this street, and it's, 4 blocks down from this street. And all of you kids would go, what? But once you start to, and you can name streets, it can be an incredible experience. And not only, I think you probably put the people out of business if you really did it for, during that period of time. And you can also say, okay, you can stop and pause, but if you got a question that says, why do you think there's a flashing 20-mile-an-hour sign right there. And so by law, the child has to tell the parent. You can just teach them so much about it. It's fun if you have a good relationship. If you don't, it's going to be miserable for you two in the car.
But you know what? Yes, obviously we had a good relationship, but even then, your child doesn't know any different. They've never been taught how to drive a vehicle before. It's all part of that permit process and whatnot. So it's okay to say, hey, maybe gear them up for the challenge or the big test and practice those things. And I'd love to tell you that I've never been pulled over or never have any kind of a mishap when it comes to that. But I think have a much more defensive driving mentality, and have been, really fortunate in a lot of different scenarios because I was aware. If I'm trying to pass that test in my mind, there's no way I'm looking at my phone because I got to keep talking about what car's 3 cars up and why the flag's flashing and look at that car's coming up a little too fast on the left. So, yes, of course we're a little silly, the two of us, but it was something that really had a huge impact on the way I think my mindset of driving really is.
And mine, it was a curse a little bit. It was a wonderful curse. But you think about police officers, and they got their computer screen, they got their cell phone, they're talking on whatever it is, going to a call, trying to think of what to do on that call when they arrive. And overall, they're one of the safest drivers out there. So the training that they do go through it works. It really does work. And even today, after being retired, I catch myself so many times going, I wonder what that car, three blocks up there is kind of coming into my lane coming up. I mean, I'm already thinking about it. It just sets that. So I'm hoping my age doesn't catch up to me to where I'm going to be a terrible driver someday. Not that older people are terrible drivers. I've had a grandpa, we had to take his license away finally, and it was a really hard situation to do, but.
And I think, as a quick disclaimer, we are not advocating good training so you can text and drive. That is obviously unacceptable.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. That's a necessity of those police officers. Please don't answer that phone
and
talk on it.
No. All part of those things that are really going to help you be safer. And even then, feels like patience is another common trend that we're striving to move towards or advise. But anything else as far as driving you think is important to be safe?
Another thing we were taught to do, which I think it's a really good idea, but when you pull up behind someone at a traffic light, make sure that you can see their back bumper. People get way too close, and if for whatever reason, we could go into several of them, you had to get out of there, you're going to have to, push their car out of the way to turn enough to get out of the situation. And so if you can just start that habit that you don't pull too close, that is going to possibly be a wonderful thing someday if you have to get out of that area for, like I said, there's a half a dozen reasons why you might have to.
Well, and when we went over that scenario, I didn't win that one, so that wasn't my passing grade scenario. So
yeah, but you guys could watch when you're at a traffic light how many people almost hit each other's bumpers. And one of the incidents that it was, no one got hurt. It was a terrible crash, but a lot of damage, but a truck couldn't stop, and everybody was within, inches to a foot away from each other. And 17 cars. That was our record. No. 17 cars got some type of damage because it was just like dominoes because they were way too close. Another good reason to leave a little bit of room. We figured that if everybody could see that back bumper, there might have been 5. The truck was going quite fast. But another really good reason. We talked about some of the others, I think, with locking the doors. Most of the cars will do that on their own.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But other than that, can't think of anything else right now.
When you look at some of these tips, it does require a healthy amount of patience. And frankly, sometimes we're in a hurry. So it's hard, oh, I've got to send this message. I got to do this. I got to talk to this person. Oh, I'm running late. I better make sure that I'm respectful and tell that person. But all of those, do they really matter? And in the moment, I'm guilty. Raise my hand. I'm one of the problems. But just think about that for a minute. Is this really worth it? Do I really need to do that? Is it really getting me further to zoom around or do something that isn't as safe as what I should be?
Yeah, good advice. I've always thought especially now, if I'm texting and I would hurt someone, I just don't want to carry that with me. It's just something I just refuse to do. So as you well know, I'm pretty adamant to put the phone down, and I'll answer the calls when I get home. Or sometimes I even pull over. I've got a friend that's he's a wonderful example. You'll see him pull over anywhere in town, and he just knows that he doesn't want that on his conscience either.
Also makes it a lot harder to pass that exam, the big test. If you're
Can you
distracted.
imagine?
Now I'm thinking about someone calling.
I'm going to answer it.
Failed the test.
Yeah, and here's the meanest trainer in the world sitting next to you. I think I would have said, go pack your bags and go home. You're done. But back then we didn't have the cell phones. We had the big brick, which we didn't have to worry about it that much. But we still had our computer. We had dispatch, all that things that we had to.
And radios. So
yeah, so it was hard.
I think other than that, make sure your lights work. Might be another good one. Good headlights are going to make a huge difference, especially in the evening. But summary for today, what's our takeaways as far as safe driving?
I guess just try to understand the power of that vehicle that you're driving, the responsibility that you have to protect others, and do the steps that is necessary to keep you and others safe.
Love it. Any other safety guy advice for us today?
Yeah.
Words of wisdom.
I got a fun one.
Yeah.
And you just have to try it if you haven't. But if you're in the city, go buy a pot, a little bit of topsoil somehow, and plant something that you can eat. And when you eat it, it's fun. Or if you live on a place you can have a garden, it takes a little work, it takes a little planning, but go out and plant a garden. See how fun that is, and you're going to be amazed if you've never done it how wonderful the food tastes.
There's your safety man minute. Make a garden. And on that note, drive safe. We hope everything's going well in your lives. Once again, welcome to the Safe Life family. Have a wonderful day.
Yeah, see ya.
If you feel like we helped guide you in your journey to a safer life or home,
or if you just think we're awesome,
please follow us for more. After all, who doesn't like a thumbs up or a subscriber?